Well, there's so many times in life that we need to empower one another. It's really all about bringing people out to show their best selves. And you know what? When we can show our best selves, and then we can be a leader to so many people that, especially in our day and age, is what we're really looking for. Today, we have an incredible leader, and I am so thrilled to introduce him. First of all, hello, Nicole. How are you, Joe? How are you today?
I'm great today. I'm excited to meet this gentleman. It'll be fun hearing about his projects and his method of getting there and where he's going with it. So I'm very excited about this.
Yeah, so am I. And it's Tuesday, and we're getting real already on a Tuesday. Yes, it's hard to believe, but as we moving forward, you never know when we're going to jump on and get real. And today I'm going to introduce you all to Amos Bracewell, hailing from the picturesque landscapes of another fellow Canadian. And as he's always been fueled by his innate creative spirit, with the relentless passion for empowering individuals to turn their dreams into tangible realities. With the vast realm of the online space, Amos has embarked on a remarkable journey that promises to shape the way we perceive personal development and personal growth. At the heart of his visionary endeavors lies the brainchild of the Empowered Network TV, a groundbreaking platform that seamlessly merges the allure of Netflix style entertainment with the transformational power of personal development. Ladies and gentlemen, please, I'd love to introduce to you Amos Bracewell. Hello there, sir. Welcome to our stage today.
Wow, that's quite a welcome you guys gave me. Thank you very much, Glenda, and thank you, Nicole.
You're very welcome.
Our pleasure. Well, we're excited to hear all about that. You know, I looked about, I went and I read about you and I watched, and it's like, where did this guy come from? It's like all of a sudden, out of the blue, you appeared. But things don't just happen. There's a lot of behind the scenes that went through. So tell us about a bit of your journey before you got onto this empowerment network.
Prior to the group, I've been an aspiring singer all my life for like 30 years. So I got a bit of that in my background. I've always done startups, businesses. I never wanted to be an employee. I always was a big dreamer. I even have Neverland tattooed over my heart. So I remember to stay a kid at heart.
Yeah.
Got that when my mom passed away, because that was the final part of me going, okay, I can't stay Peter Pan forever, because adults seemed boring to me because their dreams seemed dead. But after my mom passed, I was like, okay, I got to fully embrace adulthood, but I don't want to lose that. So I got that tattooed, and serial entrepreneur with a thirst for asking questions, challenging the narratives. Didn't want to be told what to do. I didn't want others to feel like they were told what to do. I love it when people are just acting and living from their heart. And they're in that, it's like how we were at 3 and 4 and 5. They're in the bliss child mode.
Yeah.
So that's something I seek to stay in. And everything I do, it's pretty centered around that. I believe there's more calling our names, calling my name, than I'm answering to. And so I'm on that elusive journey of following the yellow brick road home so that I can do what I came to do and hopefully facilitate helping others incorporate that mindset into their life so that they can level up and become all that they could potentially be, so that they feel ultimately satisfied at the end of their life when they look back and they go, you know what, at least I feel good about me.
Yeah, you're calling my name. I hear that and I understand, because, you know, Nicole and I are very much the same type of individuals. We, through Let's Get Real, is also about empowering others by telling their stories so that we could maybe give somebody that power within themselves to keep on going, because too many times in our lives we get knocked down and sometimes we just don't have that power to get ourselves back up and going. And it's a beautiful thing. So by you empowering others, by having now the Empower, what you're calling it, the Empower Network TV, is allowing others to be able to tell their story. So today I find that we're very fortunate that you're going to tell us your story
Okay.
And, so a dream, like here, I know what it's about dreaming it, seeing it, and making it into reality. But
Mm,
people believe that's just a bunch of garbage, hullabaloo. Do you
yeah.
true?
Well, that's what I'm on the quest to find out is, I remember as a kid at 10 years old getting my first Star Wars toy, finding out about Star Wars. And when I found out at that age, I think it was 85, I found out about Star Wars. It was like my new best friend. I just wanted to live in that reality. I watched the first movie, episode 4, which had been released in like 77, but I watched it like 13 times in 1 year because I was like, I want to belong in this galaxy where people feel something, they know it's true, and they're trying to wade through, the quagmire to latch onto it so that they can pull themselves to a better experience. And since I was a kid, that's what I've been hungering for, whether it's in, some form of escapism like that, or in music, or in gathering people and playing games, in orchestrating events, now online orchestrating events. For me, that's why I do it. It's the connection piece that so much more is possible when people are connected with the people they need to connect with the thoughts they need to connect with, that can be one of the hardest things.
Yeah.
And ultimately with that thing inside them, or things inside them that they can't shake. They can numb. We can choose to walk away from it, but it's that thing that you're like, man, if I don't do this, what was the point of this whole thing?
Yeah. And Amos, I love the 2 references you put about the Yellow Brick Road, which is my favorite movie and kind of my escape from reality, but also Peter Pan, because the little boy that never grew up. And, I often think about things like, why is it fair that we only get like 10 or 11 years of childhood and 70 years of being a grown up? Why do we have to lose that youthful enthusiasm to maybe see a swing and go get on it, or to skip, or just to do things we did when we were kids? And I think that for me, I still do that. I mean, I'd get on a swing right now with my kids, and I think that grounds us a little more, and it takes us back not only to a really good memory, but it grounds us in the fact that we don't need to be conditioned to do what others feel or think we should do. We need to be our own individual selves. So, you bringing up those 2, that really resonates with me, that you're keeping yourself real. And I think that's wonderful.
Well, I appreciate that. I've never been one for recipes. I refuse to use recipes because I don't want to do something someone else has done. Not that what they've done can't be amazing, but I want my individual stamp on life. So I just refuse to conform, because I don't think humans should. I think we should be comparing and conforming. Like, I compare to myself to who I was yesterday, and I want to be a bit better, a bit stronger, a bit more resilient. But other than that, it's like, I don't have the parents someone else have. I don't have the hair color. I don't have the height, or the, whatever. Like, everything is so different. And this social media stuff is just seeing everyone falling into that comparison. I'm like, I can't. I got to compare myself to myself. That's the only measure, to me, worth measuring.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't think it's really fair to put us all in the same, all in the same bottle, and we all have to look alike. We all have. I've never had a life where I've never had my life where I've ever been like anyone else. I was always the odd man out. Started with my height by, being always the tallest of everybody. So it always, that I never formed to anyone. And also, you know what? Even as an adult, I want to have fun. So yeah, I'm Glenda, the good witch of the north, south, east, and west. And many times I've clicked my heels and my toes, and I don't know where I'm going to land. So I do believe in fairy tales and dreams that can come true. And too many times, or maybe not enough that they've come true. But I'm very grateful for that, and also for having you on, by putting a platform together where people can come. So tell us about the Empower Network TV.
I got the idea a year ago this past September. I think it was late August, early September. And I got the idea to build a platform that would be like Netflix meets personal development, which is now morphed into all other things being added onto there. Not all things, but some stuff. And I didn't really know how to do it. I liked the idea. I ran it by some friends who were coaches. I thought it was a good idea, but I kind of hung on to it for 4 months. Didn't pull the trigger till January 15th of this year. And I was like, how am I going to do that? And I came across this training that basically said, if you want to really be successful online, you have to know how to sell your thing. You have to have access to new people. And then you got to pull those people into a community where basically you serve your ass off and give them lots of value and you warm them up. So when you go to pull the trigger to sell, they're warmed up. And I was like, perfect. I can do these two. I just need an access to that. So how do you do that? So I came across a guy that basically was going to sell me on teaching me how to grow a Facebook community. And I thought, and this is over December, I thought, cool. It's like 4,800 US. I think it's got up since then. And I was like, well, here's my dream. I need one around coaches. I need one that serves coaches. So what do you think about? He's like, well, I've never helped anyone do that, but if I was you, this is maybe what we could talk about. And so we chatted about some stuff. But I felt I wasn't supposed to hire him, but I knew I was supposed to interview coaches. And I was like, well, I'm not supposed to hire him. Then how do I do this? Because I've never done this. But it was one of those things where you just feel like you need to do it. So I just jumped and I thought, well, I'll just start interviewing trainers, speakers, coaches, and telling their story, because I can sit and listen to people. And then as it launched, I think I invited 20 friends January 15th and 11 accepted. And so there you go. Today we're at 3,100 as of recording, but it was like 11 people the first day. And then the day two, I interviewed someone. I just simply messaged someone, said, hey, her name's Christy. I said, can I interview you in this group? And she said, sure. She's a fitness coach. And so I interviewed her. And I learned pretty quickly that, man, people carry gold inside that they often skip over because they're so used to their zone of genius. And the more I sat and listened, within 2 months, I was like, I'm having the time of my life, not making a dime from it, working full time since the word go. My commitment to myself was I want to be in revenue by day 96, or by 100 days, which I was by day 96. But I was having the time of my life, working full time every day, just hearing these stories of transformation. I'm like, this is, there's so many people like this on the planet that are carrying this wisdom. And so I feel like I've had therapy sessions. I've done 250 something interviews this year. Now, as of October, whatever we're at here, 10th or something. And I have been so blessed to sit with these people and listen to their half-hour interviews. So I'm the most blessed in the room.
Wow. And everybody has a story. And sometimes you have to convince them that maybe there's just that one person that hears it and it's life-changing for that person. Don't keep that inside. Share that. And it took me a long time to share mine. But, there's so many people out there that are quiet or hurt or don't know how to react to certain things. And if we have certain knowledge in us, I think it's our duty to share it.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of people that probably need to hear what you just said there, Nicole, because there's a lot of people that are holding back and they feel scared. They don't know how much of a light they could be to the right person or the right audience.
Yeah, very true.
The one thing that I find as when I coach people is, as I ask them their stories and try to find out what's happened in their lifetime, they look at it all as failures. And, a marriage fell apart, a business went bankrupt. And then when I can dig down a little deeper, and when I tried to let them realize, but you made it through that marriage and you restarted your life again. You made it through that business. Now, look at all the things that you have learned and the things that you've been able to do during that time. Look at the brilliance that you have. It's really funny, though, when you shift it a little bit, then people all of a sudden get that aha moment in them where they can say, wow, it wasn't a total failure. There were some incredible, remarkable things that happened to us, but it's just the way we look at things in our lives. But, it's the famous Wayne Dyer, if you change the way you look at things, the things you look at will change.
Mm-hmm.
And that's so true in all of our lives.
I look at I've even just recently take it even further to the point that when something painful happens, I'm starting to train myself to go, awesome, the business failed. Awesome. That means it's here to teach me something. What's the gold in the manure? So because of this book I'm reading, Parallel Universes of Self, it's on autoplay typically on my phone when I'm driving. It talks about, your dog gets run over, insert bad thing. People are gossiping about you. You lose money, your business fails. It's like, this only affects me negatively because I've judged it as a negative. But if I change the way I look at it, then it shows up differently. And I'm finding that there's actually a lot of things that are probably all my whole life been gifts. My father and I never connected. And so I judged it for years. And it came out in my 20s, teens and 20s and 30s were brutal because I always told myself the story. Yeah, but I didn't have a proper father figure in my life. And so now I'm rewriting that going, and him and I are okay now, but I'm going, okay, I didn't have a proper father figure. This is excellent because that means then that was given to me for a reason. So what is the lesson? What am I? And then suddenly when I shift that, I'm able to see a bunch of things because I'm looking for the gold. I'm not looking for the loss. I'm looking for the wins, and then everything starts to change.
Yeah. And, I heard something many, many years ago that really I've carried with me that I really resonated with. And it was, anything that happens is neutral until you place your emotion on it. It's nothing until you decide, are you going to take it as a positive, a negative, a pain, a growth? How are you going to look at that through your eyes? And when I heard that, I'm like, oh my gosh, that makes so much sense. And that was almost a paradigm shift for me to look at it with, what did I learn? To reframe it from bad to, did this help me grow? Well, yes, it did. So it was a positive.
I like what you said. Yeah. I don't know that anything is bad in of itself, except the meaning I assign it.
That's huge. It's the perception of life, right?
Yeah.
How do you perceive your life?
Yeah.
Too many people perceive their lives as a negative and, they're so unworthy or so many different things. And yet if we turn around and perceive ourselves as being fortunate or how lucky we are and how blessed we are, it could change everything from night and day. And it's true. It does.
Yes. And then as we know, whatever our mind is thinking is going to come to fruition. Because whatever your mind creates in there, it pulls to you in the outside world. So that's why I'm very cautious of looking at everything. And, not to say I'm just like this happy, bubbly person. I get cranky too. But, for the most part, I'm like, okay, knock it off. You're going to bring more of that to you, and you don't want that.
Wisdom right there. I'm on a vacation right now in the Keys, Florida Keys, and I planned it. I poorly planned it. I thought I was going to be working from 10 till 2, not realizing we're in the middle of our tech rollout. Today and tomorrow, it's like long 10-hour days, and I'm supposed to be on vacation. I'm day 102 on the road. I've been on the road and I'm like, okay, so I get to look at this as this morning I woke up complaining, and then I started experiencing shoulder knots and muscle tension because I was telling myself a story, how bad this is and how unfortunate it is for me and woe is me. And just you saying that, Nicole, I'm like, okay, that's reminding me, nope, it's how I look at it. Everything is dependent on how I look at it. So I'm going to look at it as an opportunity for growth. And what is the gold here?
Well, you got to wake up in the Florida Keys. What an awesome growth right there. Like, to me, that would be the sun shining right then and there.
Yeah, and have crazy chickens fall on your head. I mean, how much better can it get? I wish I had chickens.
There you go. There you go.
Well, it's true. Last summer, my daughter got married, and the place where she got married, there were roosters walking around like this, right? The whole time when we got out in the morning. And it was like, I was chasing the roosters. I was like a little kid. So, like pick your battles, go out and chase the roosters and then climb a tree with the chickens and just have a little bit of fun. And then you'll turn around and those knots will disappear. Like, what way do you want to look at things? We either can bitch or we can be happy. And I sooner, I'll find the funniest things that you can do, even walk around and pretend you're a rooster too. And,
You can do your head a little bit, get it going and start chasing people around the island there.
It's good.
I don't know. That sounds pretty fun to me.
Yeah, like really. So look at the positive instead of the negative. Yeah, it's certain things are the way they are. And in the meantime, well, it's a nice place to be hanging out for a day or two or how long you're there.
Yeah.
And, I don't know. Where part of Canada are you from?
Vancouver.
Okay.
Yeah, far
Well,
west.
So you've got beautiful places, but, there's always a whole difference to turn around being in Florida and the Keys. It's a beautiful atmosphere.
Yeah.
Always great. Yep.
And we all know they have great bars there. So, sitting out looking at the ocean and
Yeah, the tiki bars or something like that.
yeah.
So
Definitely.
see, there's perfect things. What a perfect way to be having to work, right? You can be outside going there or go find yourself some bit of water around there and take the moment to listen to the sounds. That's to me is having perfect meditation right there, listening to the sounds of water. But you've got water around you too.
Yeah, you guys are just coaching me right now. I appreciate that. Free coaching.
We're going to pick you up.
Love it. Thank you.
And I'm curious with your television program, what have you learned as far, do you find most people to be positive now, or is there negativity? Coming on there and becoming aware of themselves, who they are, what they're emanating. What are you finding right now in these times?
Well, the culture is pretty empowering there, and the way I show up sets the stage for that, I'm sure. So I've only had good experiences. People that are wanting to be interviewed, they're there to tell their story. All these people have been through challenges or severe challenges. And my goal is just to pull out of them the 2 or 3 lessons they've learned so the audience leaves with, wow, that was amazing. And then they want to connect with them. That's the goal of this I've been connecting people since I was a kid. Whether it was playing games as a young lad or on the street hockey bike. Like I was rallying the neighborhoods we lived in, come together, let's play. And as a teenager, rallying the 3 other guys to get into a quartet with me, and I would arrange music and we'd sing the music. And then in my 20s, it was more in-person stuff. And then, games nights, having dinner parties even. But I've been doing it my whole life, and I just love watching the connections happen. So that's my goal I love seasoning food. And so that's how I look at it. Each interview is, you get the base ingredients of this is how the person shows up. I just try to sprinkle some seasoning on it so that food sings in their mouth. When people watch that interview, they go, wow, that was an inspiring person that they never heard about in the group. And then people want to connect with them. And that's the stories I keep hearing is people saying, thanks so much for interviewing me. I connected with, 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 10 people as a result of the interview. And now I've got more friends, and now I got more business. And I'm like, that's amazing, because that's what I've been doing my whole life, is just connecting people. So it brings me a lot of joy just doing that.
I love it. But I listened to some of your songs and your singing, and there's a whole connection right then and there. You've got a beautiful, beautiful voice. Will you sing us just a little bit?
No, I don't sing on interviews. I'm not that. I'm not just not there as a person. When I get in one mode, I'm very much in that mode. But down the road, who knows? I'll be doing different types of interviews for music at some point. But for right now, I'm in this mode. But thank you for your encouragement. I love that.
Well, so I'm just going to put in a little blurb right here for those. He is an incredible singer. And whoever's watching this, go over to YouTube and put his name in, Amos Bracewell, and you will hear some of his music. You'll be blown away. His voice is very soothing and it's beautiful. You've been given an absolute beautiful gift, and I honor you for that.
Thank you. Thank you.
And do you write your own songs?
Yeah, I did a couple covers as well. One Christmas song and one religious song. Covered the Lord's Prayer. And then I wrote a bunch of classical crossover, which is like slower style, like Josh Groban, Il Divo style. Yeah. And then I wrote a few jazzy pop songs, like kind of like Michael Bublé style. I did a lot of that. And then I'm going to be doing an old school hymns album coming up, like in the next couple years by the time I'm 50. So that's on my sites, but I got to get Empower Network TV and then all the different aspects of that going well before I turn the reins over to other people.
Amos, wow, true talent. So what happens when you get uptight? What brings you into your area where you get empowered?
Well, inevitably someone helps me. Inevitably one of my friends reaches out, or I reach out to one of them, and they listen to me, and I'm a verbal processor, so I process my way through it with someone. And then they help me come back to remembering what I need to remember. So I'm very relational dependent. I have a few close friends, and then a bunch of people in the network that are becoming like family to me. And there's people that really care about me in the network. And that's what blows me away is, people that they go out of their way to care about my heart. And that is, you first test the waters when people show up to say, I'm here for you, right? You see what they're made of and you don't want to be duped. But I've had some phenomenal people that they're in my corner. And that's how is, I process, I pray, I think about it. Sometimes I have to kick my own ass and look in the mirror and go, what am I telling myself a story here? Which is often the case. Pretty much every time I'm worked up, I'm telling myself a story. I'm attaching to some old mindset, dragging that belief system from 5 or 6 years old into the future, trying to pretend it's still real when I'm the one that's making it real. So, but it's usually with someone else that helps me, and then I square myself back and center myself. So.
You know what I love about that is that the people you're bringing to you are based on your own personal vibration, because that's how we resonate. That's how we find our people. So for them to be so kind and helpful, that is what I would turn around and say, well, you are too, because you're pulling that towards you. So congratulations. You're a cool dude.
Well, thank you. I want to be a blessing. So I'm thankful for that.
And what you also just said, for those who are watching this, how Amos said how he pulled his 5-year-old self and brought it back into the future. And that's a really big learning, because we all do that. There's always something, a trigger that happens to us in our life. And unless we know to deal with that trigger, we bring it back, and we can bring it back time and time again. It's up to us to finally realize that thing really doesn't exist. We make it back into something that really isn't, if we can only learn from it, right? Which is probably one of the hardest things in life.
Well, that's a great treasure hunt. And I only started recognizing that a few years ago. Whenever I get triggered now, I'm training myself to get curious and go, ooh, it used to be I'm triggered, I hurt, time to lash out at someone else in some form, or push them away at very least, or run away. But the last few years, my life fell apart so many times from those dysfunctional behaviors, I got sick of it. And somehow I came across some information that basically said, if you're triggered, that's a time to get curious. It's a gift. Something got wrapped. There's a box, and the wrapping paper looks like crap, but there's a gift in the box. And so it's like, I don't like the wrapping paper. I want to push the gift away, but it's like, no, the gift is here to unpack, because the wrapping paper looks that way. And every time I get curious and I go down open up those boxes that I want to throw out because they stink or they look hideous, or they cause me pain, perceived pain. Every time I've gotten curious, there is a tremendous gift in there. That is, and then I go, how many gifts did I throw out for years? Because I was labeling them, I was mislabeling them, I was judging them based on the wrapping paper. I was a fool. And now I'm like, I don't want to be a fool anymore. So when it hurts, I start getting inquisitive, going, what is this here to teach me? Yeah, it kind of hurts, but the hurt is like an indicator. It's like a ding, 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 ding. Look closer.
So true. It's just like when we talk about at times in our lives, when we get the pain and the emotions that come rolling in. Well, emotions are only there really to signal things to you. The happy emotion is, yeah, that feels good. Yeah, I want more of that. But that sad emotion, that hurt emotion, that's to tell you something's wrong. But too many times, just as you're talking about that present, unless we start to look at that and say to ourselves, what was said that really hurts me, or that really triggered me? How do I feel? But we're scared to ask those questions. Why do you think we're so scared to ask these questions?
Well, we're trained to run away from pain, which works if it's lions and tigers and bears, oh my, but it doesn't work for growth. It's the opposite for growth. It's like I should be doing the opposite in every other area of life, except if it's a real lion or tiger. Because you go to the gym, you want to grow, you got to be in pain. You want to start public speaking, you got to face fears, you got to be in pain. You want to start a business, you may have to go through 6 failed startups. I think the average entrepreneur hits it after number 10 or 11. So perceived pain, 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 pain to get anything in life. You want to ask someone out, you might have to get rejected 1 or 2 or 10 times. So I'm not sure why we're wired that way, or if it's just our society, but everything I want is on the other side of everything I'm tempted to fear. Every flippin' thing.
Yeah, that's true. And I always, when I talk to my girls, I have 2 girls, and they'll ask me, Mom, should I do this? I'll say, well, how do you feel inside? Well, I'm scared. I said, the minute you step over that fear, you just found freedom. I said, you're going to be scared a lot in your life, and you're going to have to push forward. The minute you take that one step, it's freedom. It's just total freedom.
Danger and fear are very different. Danger is there's a real tiger there. But, fear is if I'm always afraid there's tigers in all the bushes of the world. Well, can there really be tigers, real tigers? No, it's the perception of real tigers.
Yeah, the perception of what everybody else is going to think about us. But put it in the real stream of life, most people really don't give a damn about you, and they're just looking at themselves, and we just perceive that they're all looking at us.
Yeah, because we do need a tribe, because we know we need a tribe. But then if you've struggled with people pleasing like I am still coming out of it's that anyone leaving my tribe hurts me because it reminds me of some abandonment thing as a kid. And then it's like, run after them, the temptation, run after them, make the tiger go away by running after them and get them and do anything to get them back into the group. It's like, what if they're supposed to leave? What if you're not even supposed to be paired up with them? What if the real tiger is them? Not as in maybe they're not, but really, what if there's a bunch of people in the circle that shouldn't be in the circle? And that's the real problem. But I couldn't see it because of people pleasing and not wanting to be abandoned. Those have been some of the big realizations I've been having the last years.
Yeah. And the minute you delve into that subconscious and you start looking around and you start finding some of the reason you're triggered, it can be hard. But that also, once you get past that fear of what you are going to find, and you do find another freedom in that, because you've gone through it. It's happened. If it's in your subconscious, it has already happened and you've made it. And that's what I always tell people. I said, you're going to go back and you're going to find it, but it's done. It's over. And now we're going to step over that fear and we're going to move forward once we identify it. So it can be a journey. It can be a journey.
Yeah, I was scared of coming on this road trip because I didn't want to push out. I didn't want to go past the edge of the nest. I'd never been past in Canada, we have provinces. on my own. I'd never been past the second province, Alberta, Calgary, Alberta. And I was terrified of pushing past the edge of my nest. And I was really terrified. It took me an experience I had to go through to realize that I could still be safe, because my emotions were going squirrely, because I was like, I feel scared. I feel like I won't be safe. There's a bunch of tigers that are all going to eat me out there. And I know other people do this, but how do I do this? It was a hard one for me.
Yeah. And how did you talk yourself into getting over it, or how did you come to the conclusion that if you don't do this, you're going to be sitting there in fear your whole life?
I didn't. I went on the road trip because I felt led, like God was calling me to go on this road trip. And so I gave my note. Got rid of everything. July 1st, I'm on my road trip, and I'm in Calgary from the first 2 weeks of July before I go across Canada. And 6th, 7th, 8th, I'm like, how in the world am I going to push past Calgary? I was not, I don't know, maybe starting to panic a bit. And the whole thing had been set up for me. The hosts I was staying with, they invited me to do an MDMA journey with them. MDMA. I have never been someone that had been into any kind of plant medicine or drugs. I was never into drinking, smoking, anything. And when they invited me to do that, and I only look back now, I couldn't shake that I was supposed to do this journey with them. And I didn't want to, because I've always judged all that stuff as wicked, as bad, as weak, as you name it. I judged a lot of stuff growing up, kept me safe in my little Christian bubble I was raised in with my rules. And doing that MDMA experience absolutely changed my life on July 8th. And it was only through that experience. And I felt like God was telling me to do this. I'm like, how in the world is this possible? How can I be feeling like God, what I believe to be God, is telling me to do this when I'm anti all this stuff? For 3 days, I fought it, couldn't shake it, did the experience, changed my life forever in only good ways, and was able to freely go across the country. And I was with zero concern. And I was like, how in the world? So how many other things have I said no because they came in a package that I didn't want to receive? And so I didn't talk myself into it. I just said yes to what I was being drawn to. And that's this whole experience of Empower Network TV and all the things, the ups and downs that have happened. And being on the road here for this long and everything else that's going on in my life, it's one step at a time.
It definitely is one step at a time, and to actually take that next step can be very scary, but congratulations, it's the only way to go. And I know through life, there isn't any easy journey towards it. It's the way we have to, if you want to grow, you have to, and you want to experience new things, you have to step out.
When I was
sorry, go ahead.
20 years ago, my buddy he grew up in Zimbabwe. He was amazing diving, cliff diving. He would just climb trees, like no gear, just shimmy up with his hands. He grew up in that. And I would watch him diving off the high dive, the low dive, doing these gainers, like and he's so graceful, running, jumping as he's going forward. He's back flipping, bending his back, and beautifully, I think it's called a gainer. And just, I'd watch him doing this. And I hated the water because I almost drowned twice growing up. I never floated well. I sank well. And
congratulations.
I wanted to be like him. And so I was like, his name is Heath. I was like, can you teach me how to do these? This is like 20 years ago. And so he taught me on the low dive, and I almost back flopped once, which is quite painful if you ever do that. But I was able to do it on the low dive. And then I was like, you know what, I want to do it on the high dive with you. And he's like, well, it's the very same thing. And I'm like, and I wanted to do it. So I followed him up. He did one. And long story short, I go up there and I do, and it's high, and I go and I do, and I completely did not rotate. I froze up and I smacked my back so hard. A back flop, it hurts way worse than a front flop. And the sting that came down, because I clamped up, it didn't release on the rotation. I wanted to scream when I came up out of the water, and he's just looking at me ready to jump in. And I was like, I can't even speak. I'm in so much pain. And he's like, what do you want to do? And I was like, I got to go right back up. And so I went back up and I did it the second time. But it was, everything I've learned, there's painful lessons and there's no way to avoid pain. And it's helping me reframe, what is pain? Is pain real? Well, pain in the back flop was real. It's done for a minute, but all these perceptions of what's typically held me back in life from receiving these amazing gifts that are wrapped in crappy looking wrapping paper. The lesson in all of this is to examine my beliefs. It's not to examine what life is giving me. It's to examine my beliefs. And so that's what I'm doing the last month more and more, is going, when something happens, instead of judging it, going, is my belief around this right? Like, how do I know my belief around, or am I judging it? And so that's what I'm really getting inquisitive with this last month, is really going, just because I believed that for 47 years, maybe I need to look at all my beliefs a lot more. Because if I keep bumping into the same cup, every time I bump into it, it stings, and then I want to push it away or swear at it or throw it. It's like, well, hang on a second. What if this cup has something in there? If I just get inquisitive and open it up, and draw closer to what I thought was painful. And I'm finding the more I do that, the more there's delicious things in these painful things.
Wow. Great lessons.
Yeah.
Like,
Very unique. Very unique how you describe that too. I like that.
yeah. Beautiful.
Well, thanks.
And that's what we all have to learn, right? It's a great lesson to learn of, even though things, they look a certain way, but really when you open it up, really, is it that way? What is your greatest lesson so far well, you're on the road right now, right? So you're on your journey of, I don't know where you're heading to, but so far since you've been on the road, what is one of the greatest lessons that you've had lately?
I'm solely responsible for my emotional state, which produces the chemical state of my body, which ultimately produces my happiness and the things I create. And I used to feel so trapped to others' emotional responses. I was a people pleaser. It helped me survive as a kid, as a teen. So I became a lot of people, perhaps, keenly aware of what others were, the energy they were operating in, so I could find a way to make my life peaceful again. Because I also believe falsely that if someone else is upset, then somehow my world has to be upset. Because as a kid, it was like that. So I carried that forward into adulthood. And that's the biggest lesson, my lesson in Richmond, Virginia, where I first dropped into the States, really spent time there, was a number of events where I was afforded the chance to really confront the fact that I didn't even know I was doing that. I was just on this hamster wheel of people pleasing. If others were upset, it was my job to solve it. If others were angry with me, it was my job to appease them. Now I know it's complete bullshit, but I didn't know that. I did not know that. I didn't know I was a people pleaser. I thought I was doing what was right. And it was only through those painful lessons where it kept bringing me the mirror, and I kept not seeing what I needed to see. And the mirror kept coming up. And I'm like, what is this flipping mirror in my face for again? And I'm trying to grow. So I'm like, what am I not seeing about this? I've tried attacking their behavior. It doesn't work. I've tried judging other people. I've tried controlling things. It doesn't work. What am I missing in all of this evidence when I'm the common denominator? And I came right back to here going, oh, I'm getting emotionally upset. Why am I getting emotionally upset? What is beneath that? Do they have the power to make me emotionally upset? Consciously, no, they don't have the power. But why is that happening every time these things happen? Oh, I have belief systems from a child that's how I survived. So I believed, because when my father was upset, that it was my fault to solve it. I had to shift or get a spanking. If my mom was upset, I had to shift. So starting to recognize, okay, well, I've never cut that pattern off. That served me as a kid, but that certainly isn't serving me at 47. So now objectively, the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks, when people get upset with me, I'm able to notice they're upset because something in their world isn't right. And I actually have more empathy for it now as I'm learning to go, it's not my responsibility. that's their experience. I can honor their experience without making it my world, because unless it is directly attached to me, and oftentimes it's not, they're just having an experience because they have some inner child need that's not being met, and they want to project it on the situation because they're triggered and completely unaware and in fear and in anger and in desperation, trying to have someone else solve their internal problems. And I was responding in the like. So now it's allowing me to unhook from that vicious codependent cycle so that I can just more easily fulfill my calling, and then even be a safe space for them to hold space so that I'm not pouring gasoline on the fire that's already in them, because the fire that was already in me. So now by putting out the fire and calming that down and starting to learn, it's like I can actually be more use on the planet.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Big wow.
That's congratulations. That's huge. Huge on so many different levels. And I love the fact that you want to be holding space for someone. And really, what's better way than to release the fire is just by being able to hold space for people that are going through whatever it is that they are going through.
And it's such an important thing, because when I was going through my divorce many years ago, I really didn't even know that I was different, or I was behaving differently, acting differently. And my girlfriends at one point, after a couple of years, I had gotten over everything, and they told me, they said, it's one that I've been friends with since I was like 12, so forever. And she says, I knew you'd come back to us. I knew you'd come back to us. She never, if I asked, she would offer advice, but she never chastised me. She never, said you should or shouldn't have done this. She didn't even ask a lot of questions unless I was willing to talk about it. But what she did is she saved space for me. She held space for me all those years.
Beautiful.
All those years. And that was probably the most special thing anyone has ever done for me. So it's so important to hold space for others.
We spend so much time beating ourselves up that the last thing we really need is for somebody else to put some little bit of more fire into the flame, because we do well in, jobs like that for ourselves. We're so good at it. It's just being able to just to sit back and, when we can sort of digest what's going on. And that's what most people don't do enough times, to just sit back and just digest what's going on. Not, instead of beating yourself up, just sort of sit back and just be for a little bit, figuring out what it is. And as you're saying, you were having your young self who was coming back so many times, but to look into the mirror and really see who that person really is and start to really see the reflection is the biggest growth that you could ever have in your life. And, and that's a huge, for people that have going through and having their own troubles, what Amos has just shared with us, these are, are really true golden nuggets that people can learn and help themselves with of moving forward and growing, because we all can transform ourselves. It's just we all need to just do the work and love ourselves enough that know that it's worth it.
I would agree. And I hear, in my space, I hear a lot of people talking all the time about how they're going to change the world and how they want to change the world and what we need to do to change the world. And I'm honestly sick of it. I'm like, shut your pie hole. You want to change the world, change yourself. So that's what I'm focusing on. I'm like, all the problems I've created in my world, I'm the common denominator. So what can I do? I can change myself. There's so many people trying to tell people, as especially in the coaching, they're telling them in all these ads, do this, don't do this, do this, don't do this. And I just feel they should be saying, share from their heart. This is what I've learned, because this is how I've screwed up my life. And these are lessons I'm presently in the middle of adopting, which are helping me screw up my life less, so I can become a bit more effective. And I would love to see that, where there's more practical people just getting vulnerable, going, this is what I've done, it didn't work. This is what I'm doing, it seems to be working better. I'd love to share that stuff with you if you want to listen. If you don't, that's fine, because I'm busy changing my own life, because I know by default that's going to change the world, but I got to fix my stuff first, because this is where all the problems start.
And it's true, because when we, I also believe in that full heartedly, because that's how I coach. I can only teach people from where I've been. I don't coach on something that I have no involvement in. Yes, I've got the certification, but my real certification is called life lessons. The kicks and the asses, the knockdowns, all the rest of this shit that I've been through, those is how I can coach. And I don't coach by telling you that what I do is right. But what I do has led me to some incredible journeys. And if I can teach you, part for how I go forward in life is saying, maybe your knockdowns won't be as great or as grand as mine were. And if I can share something with you, maybe you won't fall as hard as I did. And if I can stop a little bit of that hit, just a little bit, maybe then that person will flip around a little easier. Because when you hit rock bottom, sometimes it knocks the wind out of you. So maybe it's a little bit easier for somebody if they don't they don't fall quite as hard.
Can I challenge you on that?
Please.
So again, I would have agreed with you until a month ago. And now I look at it and I go, why am I trying to save people from pain? If I'm saving them from pain, I'm judging pain as wrong. I don't know that pain is wrong, because pain has been my best teacher. And what if people need the exact degree of pain that they need so that they live their ultimate life? And I don't know that it's true or not. I'm just considering it, going, I don't know that judging pain is wrong has worked in my life. Maybe it has, but I don't know that it has, because I've really had my crowning moments after incredible pain. So would I be robbing someone of their incredible moments? I don't know.
I like that. And yes, you might be right. However, it's like, how does a mom be a mom? Our children need, and I'm a mom, and our children need to fall. But like I always said, I don't want to see my kids drown. I would rather throw them a bit of a life preserver so that they have some lessons through it, but yet I'm not allowing them to drown. So if I could sort of save some soul instead of drowning, here's a life preserver, but there's some lessons also there.
Jordan Peterson, I really like a lot of his work, and he says, the most effective parents are the parents that do not protect their kids. You have to train your kids that dragons are real, and you have to train your kids how to fight the dragons. It means if you try to protect your kids, you ruin your kids, you destroy your kids, because the dragons are going to come. You don't know when. And if they're not armed, and I've seen my daughter fall down, and it's hurt my heart. Some of the things she's done. And I'm like, dear God, I wish I could have prepared her better, but maybe I didn't, or maybe I did. Maybe she just needed to fall that hard. I don't know. It hurts my heart when she fell, and she fell hard a couple times. And I wonder sometimes if I've done it right, and I don't know that I have, but I just know that dragons are real in my life, and most of the dragons are in the mirror.
Yeah.
And I have to fight them, and if I don't fight them, then I'm saying I'm not going to fight them, and I'm not fighting them for my lineage. So if I don't fight them for me, I'm also not fighting them for my daughter. I'm not fighting them for my neighborhood. I'm not fighting them for my city. And whatever is left unconquered in my life, I'm by default burdening society with. I'm saying, I didn't want to pay this price. I didn't want to grow up fully. Can you guys grow up fully for me?
Very true.
Interesting.
Point well taken.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm trying to grow into, Glenda. And Nicole, I'm not there. I'm attempting to.
Well, we've got
I don't think we're ever there. I think
No, I was just gonna
the
say that.
whole path is about growth and becoming. You know, it's your choice. Which one are you going to choose? You're going to stagnate or are you going to grow?
I had a really hard day today, just so you know. You guys coming on, bringing me on today, this helped me because I had a piss poor attitude because of what I shared with you. This is a roll-on essential oil natural pain reliever. I'm out of the one I make, so I had to buy one. I rolled it on just now because, I've been in a lot of tension today because my attitude has stunk today because I've been looking at the presents wrapped in horrible wrapping paper the wrong way instead of unpacking them and getting curious and being thankful, like you said. Hey, I'm in the Keys. Hey, there's chickens. Hey, they're falling out of trees. This is fun. It's sunny. So just so you know, this is what I want to be. I want to be that kind of man.
And you can be. And I'm so glad that you came on today to spread some sunshine and also, to teach us some lessons as well. And I believe that life is a constant lesson. And you know what? I'm just feeling that we're all blessed, and we're blessed that we could have you today and to sharing these incredible lessons that I have learned something. And every day, that I think that's what it's all about, is continuously learning.
Thank you for having me on, Nicole and Glenda. That's been a real treat for me.
Oh, I've loved it. It's been a great interview. Absolutely.
So before we leave, can you share with us, give us one golden nugget that you would like to leave our audience with today?
Oh, for me, I look in the mirror harder than you've been looking. I thought I was looking in the mirror today, and clearly I wasn't looking hard enough. I was believing that my pain existed outside of me. My pain always exists inside of me. I keep coming back to the last weeks. It's all about how I look at it. Like you said, when we change the way we look at things, the things we look at change. And it's just another lesson for me today. Doing this with you both has shown me again, it was how I was looking at it today. I was looking at it the wrong way, not the empowering way. I was looking at it the defeatist way, the victim way, which didn't serve me at all, but gave me a shoulder knot, which is now going to go away. So you guys are a real blessing to me today.
Oh,
Yay.
thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Nicole, what would you like to share with our people today before we leave?
Every part of this conversation has been very enlightening on many different levels. And it could go any way because I too sat here and learned so much. But I think the most poignant thing that was said and stressed today is take a look in that mirror. You get to do your life the way you want to, and you also have to take responsibility if it goes wrong. So what I would say to everybody is it always comes back to you. Stop the blaming, stop the attitude, stop what you're thinking about, and think about what you want to put. Like I said, everything's neutral till you put an emotion on it, and it can be good or it can be bad. And I've gone through a lot of things in my life, and I choose good now. I choose good in any situation that I can. And even if it's something that you're like, oh, yuck, there might be a twist or turn or a spin to where you can make it work for you in some minute way.
Beautiful. You've said it all. Well, Amos, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for joining us today. It's been a great lesson for me. The dragons that are all in front of us all are there. And sometimes they're breathing fire, and sometimes they're just breathing smoke. So it's up to us to figure out which it is. But in the meantime, I will still always believe in my heart that everything in life is a blessing. And we have to start looking at that, because for me, it's always so grateful. Every day that I get up and open my eyes and see that the sun is still shining, even though it's cloudy outside, and my feet can still touch the earth, I'm grateful. So for today, I'm grateful that you came and joined us and shared some incredible golden nuggets. And for those, I want you to share this out to people. There's a lot of information here that I know can help other people out. So on that note, I say thank you so much. I give you my heart, my soul, everybody, by saying one important thing. Just be grateful for every little thing that we have in our lives today. That's all that really matters. Thank you.
Thank you.